Hey everyone, my name is Seth. This is the Books Business Growth Podcast where we talk to Amazon sellers, e-commerce entrepreneurs and business owners about their journey, what makes them tick and why they have been successful. So without further ado, please sit back and enjoy the show. We are live. Hello everyone watching and listening to the podcast. We have the amazing Luke Roberts here, fellow Facebook group owner and Amazon seller. I actually don't know too much about Luke. I just thought it would be, we kind of know each other from Secret Tribes, right? Yeah, so we've both been kind of forging a Facebook group path since, well, for the past year and a bit. And I thought it'd be interesting to get Luke on just to chat, talk shop really, talk about Amazon, talk about the Facebook group, anything in between. So yeah, thank you for coming on.
Anytime,
how are you doing?
Happy to be here. Yeah, good man, good. Just finished up my normal job for the day, and so managed to get in a little bit of Amazon stuff done earlier, and going to be doing a bit more. After this.
Nice. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, that's a perfect way to start then. So, do you want to just like introduce what you do, maybe as a day job, what sort of Amazon selling you do, and like any other, side hustles and things? Because I know you've also got a Shopify store as well, right? So, yeah, I'd love to dive into all of these things, but yeah, feel free to go where you want with it.
Yeah. So, my day job is I'm a network engineer in IT. Not really a fan of it. I guess that's what prompted me getting into doing e-commerce in general. It's the usual story of wanting to, be your own boss, all that kind of jazz. So probably, when was it? About 6 years ago, I started I've been yo-yoing for about, random fact, been yo-yoing for about 20 years.
Wow.
Competitively and running contests and things. So I got into a friend of mine who was running a shop, stopped, and he knew that I always wanted to run a shop, so he was like, hey, why don't you just take over? So I was like, sweet, okay. So that was my kind of first taste at e-commerce. Completely traditional shop, just posting stuff from my garage, storing it all there. And then I had another company who were running a yo-yo store who said, hey, do you want to buy our store as well? And I was like, no, I can't. I wish I could, but I can't. And they just said, well, what we'll do is we'll just send you 10 grand's worth of stock and you can just sell it for us. And I was like, all right, okay. So I did that for a bit, just on my one shop now. And then about 2019 was when I came across Amazon FBA. I saw an advert. I won't mention the person's name because I didn't have a good experience with them. But it was a particular British seller who was quite popular at the time, all over YouTube and so on. And he was selling a course about this is private label, by the way, not arbitrage. This was a private label course, and it was essentially kind of like a 30-day challenge. So you paid, I think I paid 800 quid or something for this course. So I was already a bit dubious because I was like, man, I've never paid that much for a course in my life. Turns out that's actually quite cheap for some Amazon courses.
Yeah.
And the premise was, right, I'll give you, as in this guy will give you a product. And, the first week you research it, find out what you can do to improve upon it, etc., etc. And then second week you go to China, go Alibaba, AliExpress, source it, get it in. Third week you get it into Amazon. And then fourth week you start selling it. Like, seemed like a piece of cake. I was like, yeah, sure, I'm down for that. Didn't quite work out that way. I didn't get my product because of, just shipping from China. It took 6 weeks to get to me, and the guy was like, well, it's past the 30 days, so you don't get any support from me anymore. I was like, dude, what? So there don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to put people off courses, because there are some fantastic courses out there. I happen to, for example, Natalie Cromie runs a fantastic course. Matt Webley, obviously, doing the tribes. Luke Filer's loads of great people out there who are doing good courses, but this one, my very first one, kind of caught me out. Luckily, one of the guys' support trainers, I guess you could say, he took a bit of pity on me, knew I was getting a bit messed around, so I paid him, God, I don't know how much it was, like £20 an hour or something. He got my product up and running, launched it early 2020. It sold, which was brilliant, but it just wasn't wasn't profitable enough. So I kind of cammed that on the head. And that was the same time that I found out about arbitrage. And I got into doing arbitrage. I think I sent in my first shipment June 2020, I think it was. I was really dubious about it because I guess like a lot of people, when they first get into arbitrage on Amazon, you think, how can you go and buy something from this store and then sell it for that much on Amazon? Who's going to pay that? You know, that's ridiculous. And so I tested it out and I was like, my God, someone is really going to pay me 20 quid for a £5 item from Tesco. You know, it just blew my mind.
Great, isn't it?
Yeah. So I have kept doing that whilst I was also doing the yo-yo shop. I do suffer from that, what do they call it? Like shiny object syndrome, I guess.
We all do.
So I got into, I bought a drop shipping course as well, which I still haven't actually even started yet. I want to do it, but I haven't. That's kind of on hold at the moment. The Facebook groups thing is great. I haven't put too much effort into that, but I want to start now. I'm starting up a YouTube channel and show on, so I'm going to be doing a lot more on that front. And then early last year, a friend of mine decided, you know what, I'm going to make my own brand. He wasn't an Amazon seller, wanted to do it all through Shopify. And he came up with these chocolate gift boxes. And because I knew a bit about Amazon, I said, hey, let's get this on Amazon. So we put it on Amazon, one of these boxes, and we sent in probably about 50, and they sold out in about 4 days. And we were like, all right, it was coincided with Mother's Day. So over the last year, I've been helping him do that, and he's quit his job. He's doing that full-time, gone full-on into the realm of private label, I guess. It's kind of private label / bundling / branding. And yeah, I'm looking at launching a brand, ironically yo-yo related, so I can sell that across both my yo-yo shop and Amazon. And hopefully later on this year, quit my job and do it all full time. But at the moment, the pandemic and stuff, working from home, has kind of lent itself really well to being able to run the Amazon stuff, with work kind of being a bit quiet. I get a few hours during the day, usually, sometimes, if I'm lucky to work on it. And it's, really convenient at the moment. But I'm finding now I'm getting much more into the Amazon stuff. It's taking a lot more time. And for me to be able to grow, I need to be able to invest more time into it. And working full-time at my IT job, and then also doing Amazon, which I'm at the point where it's almost full-time. I'm not quite there yet. I've got to try and work the balance out. So hopefully I'm going to be able to quit my job soon and do it full-time.
Right, yeah, you're at that point where it's kind of semi-comfortable having a full-time job. It's nice having the income and the wage and the security, but you're also thinking, well, Amazon could be way bigger, right?
That's it, absolutely.
Propel me forward. So, but no, that's a really cool story. I think there's loads of things to pull from there. I'm especially interested in the yo-yo stuff because obviously that's such an interesting niche.
Yeah, it's a bit random, but
it's very random. But those are the best things, right? Like a book, like selling used books is random for 99.9% of the population, right? And then I think yo-yo is probably similar to that. So let's go back to the yo-yo. That's kind of where it all started in terms of you having an entrepreneurial, I'm not trying to think of the word, but like that got you pretty much sparked your interest in working for yourself, right? So was that initial shop, that was like a brick and mortar store, was it, that wanted to expand online, or was it just online?
No, just online. So the guy who used to run it, he was really big back in sort of the late 90s. There was a huge yo-yo boom, which is when I started. He had a physical shop. He was touring all over the country. It was madness. He was selling, he was probably doing 6 figures in yo-yos alone, though, during those boom times. It was insane. I think something like in America, there was more yo-yos sold in 98 than there were under 16s in the country or something. It was just, it was insane, the amount of promotion and stuff that was selling. And so I had this opportunity to, because I already had essentially a customer base. I was known in the community, but also he had this shop that had been going for 15 years, both online and offline. And he was just going to say, right, well, once you set your store up, let me know, and I will put out an announcement to say, hey, I'm closing down. Here's the new guy. So that really helped. Whereas most people who start off a standard Shopify store, you've got to start up from, nothing, and maybe spam like Google ads and Facebook ads and Instagram and TikTok and everything else to try and get people just to get to your site and get up the Google rankings. And I just had a ready customer base, so that was really good.
Oh, this already had the organic. Well, obviously it had the organic reach, but was it also like high up on Google, so it had all the SEO kind of sorted for you? Or?
Yeah, so he did. When my new store came in, originally I was quite low down in Google rankings, whereas now if you type in sort of Yo-Yo UK, I'm like number one, or just Yo-Yo Shop, something like that. I come straight up at the top. So, and that's with no Google ads, nothing. It's all organic. Unfortunately, it's not really something that's viable to do full time in terms of just the Yo-Yo Shop. It brings in money, absolutely, and I've actually been using that money to invest into the Amazon stuff as well. And so keeping back a bit to keep the store going, but I'm really keen on the whole multiple streams of income thing. So, if I can do Amazon, eBay, Shopify, a bit of drop shipping, a bit of this, bit of that, that's the goal. And then, say I get banned from Amazon for whatever reason, suspended, like seems to be quite common these days. Yeah. Well, no, not common, but I've seen people in the community get quite close to being suspended. Or personally, after I first started, I changed my bank details in Q4 the first year.
No.
Yeah, and they just whoosh, were like re-verification. So for my first Q4, they would not let me disperse any of my money. So so if you're watching and you're thinking of changing your bank details, don't do it during Q4.
Yeah, great advice. Or just any time in the year.
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah.
Don't change your company. Well, you can change your company address, but there's a few things, right, like that you shouldn't change, but especially the bank details. I think maybe changing your company name even's not that. You don't really want to do stuff like that. No,
it's just some people have got really lucky, and I've seen some people at 24 hours, bang, done. But Amazon held nearly £10,000 of my money, which when you're first starting up, that was literally my entire capital, and so I missed the first Q4. And it took me a while to recover because, it was from middle of October to the end of December. They kept all my money. So I was like, what do?
I know. I know what that's like. It's not nice when the Amazon... Because there's not much chance that you're going to get it back unless you do everything right and, kowtow to them. But no, I'm just thinking of yo-yos now, just because I remember. It's interesting you say 1998 because I don't know how old you are, but I was probably 7 then, and I remember they were obviously the rage, and I just particularly remember the ones that light up and they span down at the bottom. What's the trick where you just filling it down and it spins a lot?
Oh, the sleeper, just where it spins.
Yeah, just a sleeper. Yeah. So it's, this is all, and you run it along the floor. And I remember at our primary school, I think they got banned because someone got injured using them, and probably all the schools banned them.
Yeah, but eventually did. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know. So obviously, 1998 is potentially the peak of yo-yos in the whole history. Yeah. What percentage of that? Say sales revenue or just popularity, would you say 2021 was compared to 1998?
Probably, just because of how much of a phenomenon it was, I say we're probably at 1 or 2% of
really?
What it was.
Wow.
It's crazy. I'm very fortunate in that there's only a few, in comparison globally, there's only a few yo-yo stores. I'm one of 2 in the UK. I'm one of about 6 in Europe. And with Amazon, for example, you can get some yo-yos on Amazon, but a lot of the more boutique or niche yo-yos that cost sort of 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 pounds, normally they're just sold either direct or through specialist stores like myself. So, which is kind of good because it means I don't have to worry about competing with Amazon so much. Obviously on some of the stuff that I sell, which also is on Amazon, I've got to be aware of, I've got to be more competitive than the Amazon price, because someone can go on there and just get it next day, and whereas I'm still doing sort of 24, 48 hour delivery. So there is that, but so
you've got to sacrifice your margins a bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but luckily, I've the one advantage I like about a Shopify traditional kind of store as opposed to Amazon is being able to build up that rapport and that relationship with the customer. So I get repeat customers. You know, if someone comes to me and says, "Oh, I need advice on a yo-yo for my son for Christmas," I can advise them. They'll buy it, then they'll normally pick up some extras as well. And then 2 weeks later, "Oh, he's really into it. What's the next one I can get? And what's the next one?" So I keep getting that repeat service from some people. And yeah, I get a lot through Google as well, because my website tells me where the traffic comes from, whether it's direct or whether it's through a search. And I still get so much through Google, which I find surprising, because I'm sure there was some statistics flown around somewhere that 60% of e-commerce at least starts on Amazon. So when I get people buying yo-yos from me, which are either the same price or maybe even more expensive than on Amazon, and I find that they've come through Google, it's nice, but I guess it's the same thing when I find someone buy something off me on Amazon, which they could have gotten half price somewhere else. It's
exactly.
I think a lot of people don't shop around too much.
No, I mean, I especially with books, right? Obviously, I sell books, and I've stopped worrying about that like years ago, because there's so many instances where someone could have bought this book on a different website or even on Amazon for $10, and I've sold it for 50 just because I've got Prime, and it's just bonkers. And I just assume that there's a lot of customers out there who just either don't care about price, or maybe they're a little bit dim. And you got a cat there.
Yeah, sorry. Start walking on the keyboard. Oh God.
But yeah, no, it is crazy what people. And so I guess some people might not like shopping on Amazon, and they don't think to go on Amazon, and then they'll rather look on the first page of Google, and then you're fortunately got, you're on the first page. Yeah. So that sounds like, you've obviously got the Yo-Yo store, and then you've got your Amazon store, so you probably don't spend any money on ads, do you, or marketing, or?
No, not at the moment. No, I am wanting to, now that I'm going to be sort of getting a bit more active on YouTube, and TikTok as well is huge at the moment, especially for yo-yos. There's some yo-yos that have got 1 million to 2 million followers on TikTok. Wow. So they've now just come out with TikTok Shop, which if I can link through Shopify, means that hopefully I can use that as another way to organically grow my reach, which is something I really want to try. And it's all new and funky, so I'm hoping that might help with people like, oh, I can buy this product straight through TikTok. I don't have to go anywhere, do anything. So I want to get in on the novelty as well, whilst people can still do that.
And surely if one of those TikTokers plugged your store, you'd get a ton of sales coming, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. At the moment, I'm still looking at getting my first actual branded yo-yo made. So at the moment, I sell other brands of yo-yos. So being able to go to a Instagram influencer, for example, and say, hey, can you plug this yo-yo, doesn't really work well for me, because people could just get it from any other shop.
Right.
I had thought about doing it for the shop, like send them a generic yo-yo and ask them to plug the shop itself.
Yeah, but, get discount code or something.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm probably going to do a combination of that, but I am getting my own branded yo-yo made as well at the moment. So then I'm just going to slam it on like Amazon and eBay and Shopify and TikTok, and just see what happens.
No, it sounds cool. This just really interests me, because what you said was that obviously it might only be at 1 or 2% of the peak of 1998, and you're thinking that it brings in an income, but it doesn't necessarily bring in enough to quit your job. And it reminds me of another Amazon seller who is a friend of mine, and he's in, it doesn't matter if I say it, but he's in like the fishing space. Sure. And he sells fishing accessories and items. He doesn't know anything about fishing, but he's been doing that for a couple of years, and he always tells me that this isn't the one for him. This isn't the business that's going to propel him forward. And I always like to question whether are you just being shiny object syndrome, or if you really honed in on this, could it work? Because I know with books, I'm actually quite grateful that I stuck with books, and I didn't try to do the crypto thing, or whatever other shiny object was in my space. And I kind of, after 6 to 9 months of not really doing that well, I suddenly propelled forward, and like a light bulb switch went off in my head. So I just always wonder whether the thing that you're focusing on. Should you just keep focusing on or not?
Yeah,
but I obviously don't know the yo-yo space.
No, it's interesting. So there are some yo-yo store owners out there who that is their full-time job. Like I said, there's only a few stores out there, so it's certainly doable. And like I said, I will always keep the yo-yo shop. One, because it's a hobby; it's something I'm just generally interested in. So I'd probably still do it, even if it was pretty much making no money. I just enjoy doing it, enjoy having my own little shop and doing my own little thing. But I'm trying to get it to the point where it consistently brings in enough money to just cover my bills. So that, if I Amazon has got way more potential, way more reach. It's got more potential for me to get a bigger reach without trying too hard, if that makes sense. Like I can just, if you feed the beast, as it were, you just feed more money into Amazon.
You can leverage their
whereas with the yo-yo stuff, I would have to, like I say, make my own yo-yo range and that sort of thing. And that's certainly something I am going to look at. But that is kind of my whole trouble, to be honest. I think if I'd have just been doing Amazon on its own or the yo-yo shop on its own, I maybe could have built one of them up a lot quicker. But I did the yo-yo shop for a long time just as a hobby, and it was only until lockdown when my sales started to increase, and I thought, oh, actually, this is starting to work real well. And so both having that plus Amazon, it's been real juggling act. You got that, Amazon, my normal job, eBay, just other things. It's so I definitely wouldn't recommend trying to do too many things at once, because you just can't concentrate on it, which I know is really obvious to say, but at the time I was just like, oh, maybe I can try that now, and then let's try a bit of this, and it's too much. So I'm at a point now where I'm like, right, I cannot take on anything else. I need to quit my one job just so that I can get these things going. And it's good fun though. It's stressful, but I'm just taking it as a challenge. So got to see how it goes.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the best way to look at it. You're looking at it positively, and I think if you look at it even more positively, you can kind of think you've got your own product. You might be branding it. You've also looked at private label. You've sold a bit of private label. You kind of understand wholesale. You understand arbitrage. So if you keep plugging away, it seems like the only way can be up, right? And especially
that's what I'm hoping. So
you're engaged in the Facebook communities as well, and I know that's just a thing that for me really propelled my business forward, because you start speaking to other like-minded people. You start getting ideas off them, and then they might link you up to maybe like a developer who knows this and that about and you don't know what sort of networking opportunities you can find. So that's really 100%. Cool. But so with private label, so you were obviously doing private label. You say you were selling a product and it wasn't that profitable. You did a course that was not necessarily that good. I hear there's a lot of courses that aren't great. I did look at private label initially. I think a lot of people do, or I kind of looked at a bit of everything, and I just thought the hassle of contacting Chinese suppliers and doing all this stuff that I didn't really understand versus going to Argos, going to a retail store and buying some Paw Patrol toys and reselling them. I thought, well, this is quite an easy trade-off. So was that similar to you, or was there a particular catalyst that made you think, right, I'm going to stop doing private label, I'm going to do arbitrage nearly fully, I'm going to focus on that more, or was there a catalyst at all?
I think the fact that I'd had a bad experience with my first private label product, and then coming across arbitrage, and this guy that was helping me, who worked for this previous guy, he even said, if I was to start over again, I wouldn't go straight into private label. I'd start doing arbitrage so that I can learn the Amazon business model and see how it all works. In one sense, private label is not as difficult as I thought it was in terms of going to China. The sellers in China, they just want to sell you stuff. So if there's a product you want, sometimes you might have to have a minimum order quantity. So the thing, I haven't even got one up here, but the product that I was given was called a universal baby monitor holder, and all it was an arm which had a clip to go on the crib, and then it had this hand with a flexible grip. And the point was that it could hold on to any device, any camera.
Right.
And at the time there was about 6 other people selling this one particular product. And I went to China and found the supplier straight away. It was selling for something like $17.99 on Amazon.co.uk, and I could source it for $3.50 from China. And then the problem is, for something like that, it was really hard for me to find something. The product was basically perfect to a degree. There was the usual with private label. I don't know how much you've looked into it, but they say, right, look at the negative reviews, see what you can improve upon on the product, etc. But there were no negative reviews. This thing was just, it did the job. It did what it was supposed to do.
Right, and it's small and light as well, which is always good for shipping and stuff.
Yeah, so I only ordered 50 in, and I made this kind of like nursery starter bundle. So I had that. That was the main feature. I then had a little cuddly toy with a blanket, and I had some of those sort of safety strips that you can put across doors and drawers to stop kids opening them, and I think some plug socket covers as well. And it was odd because it sold. I thought, this is the most random bundle ever. Like, who is going to buy this? And people did, and so it does work. But yeah, the competition on the private label space at the moment just seems so high that unless you are really, really niche, like with Yoyos, for example, unless you're either really niche or I don't know, I'm not saying luck out, but if you do your research in Helium-10 and you're really passionate about something and you're able to come up with like this product or this bundle that people want to buy, then brilliant. But if you're doing the traditional thing of using Helium-10, going to China, using the same suppliers that every other private label seller has easy access to, it's not like wholesale over here where you have to apply for accounts and so on and so forth. You just go to Alibaba or AliExpress, find the product, message the supplier, and that's it. You got your product. So private label is definitely something I want to revisit. I do think, after looking at the pros and cons of arbitrage versus private label, if you are able to, in my head, kind of private label and custom bundling is the end goal for me, I think, because being able to have something, especially if you brand it and trademark it so no one else can get on your listing, because from an arbitrage point of view, that's the most frustrating thing for me, is you find a product, you think, right, there's only 2 sellers on this listing, I can make a massive markup, brilliant, and then 2 weeks later 25 other people are on it, and you're like, ugh, it's been tanked down almost to cost. So being able to avoid that would be really nice. But yeah, arbitrage still works. As I know, a lot of people in the community just do arbitrage full time. They don't create their own listings, they don't create their own bundles, nothing. Just do arbitrage and that's it, and they make a good living off of it. So I'm quite happy doing that for now. But I do want to go back into private label at some point, for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I guess the biggest difference, if you're looking at an end point or end goal, which I guess when you start a business you should probably be thinking about, is that a private label business that's successful is much easier to sell, right, than an arbitrage business. Yeah, the one great thing about books is it's slightly different to normal arbitrage because we're selling used books. It's rare that you'll be able to find a used book, send it in, and then a load of people tank the book because it's almost a commodity, right? But that's just, I mean, there's pros and cons to all business models, but it's like I always find it interesting to talk about private label because I just don't know very much about it. But it really scares me because, like you say, it sounds like you've either got to have a really strong brand, or you've got to have a really strong USP, or your product needs to be better than everyone else's. But there's nothing stopping a Chinese supplier from just creating yours and changing one tiny bit right and then sending it in and taking like 2% profit margin or whatever they do.
Exactly. So,
it does really scare me, but also it does appeal as well, because you know that you see certain brands on Amazon, like, for example, do you know Anchor do technology and stuff? Like, they're one of the biggest sellers right on the UK. I don't know if they're the biggest on US as well, but I mean, they're making millions a month, right? And that's something that, especially with restock limits last year, that's something that you wouldn't be able to do in arbitrage, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and then I mean, like with that item I had, the holder, it was, you could get it in blue and green, and that was it. Those are the only 2 colours. So I went to the manufacturer and I said, right, how about pink? Because, baby girls,
perfect,
pink, although apparently pink's really not a popular colour. But I thought, hey, if none of these other guys are selling it in pink, I'd get it in pink. But unfortunately, they were like, right, yeah, we can do it in pink. Minimum order quantity 1,000, and they were not shifting on it. And I thought, right, I don't really have $3,500 spare, plus then another couple of grand to ship it all over to gamble on that. But yeah, it is cool. I did enjoy doing PL, and like I said, I very much want to do it again. But for now, arbitrage, I think, if people are starting Amazon, it is the easiest way to go. It's just that you can start with any amount of money. If you've only got 100 quid, you can go down Argos or Tesco and spend 100 quid if you can find the right items. And I think that's, whereas with PL, you've got to have money behind you as well to be able to do it, and that's that's tricky.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, obviously, you don't even need 100 quid, do you? If you've got a house with used books in it, or video games, right, or DVDs, right? This is what I spoke to Lloyd the other day. He was on the episode before, and he was saying that, and I that's it's so good that you can just start this business with pretty much zero startup other than an Amazon subscription. But so another thing that really interested me was those chocolate sets. So that's kind of, as you say, it's kind of private label, it's kind of wholesale, it's a bit of bundling. So were those chocolates sourced in the UK? Yeah. So obviously, out of respect for my friend, I can't go into too much detail about it. Of course, but he was able to. Essentially, we went to. I helped him initially. We were looking for wholesalers and so on, but as you may know, getting in with wholesalers can be quite hard unless you're willing to spend thousands and thousands and thousands. And we were able to get a couple of wholesale contracts where we could get pallets of chocolate sent. So we ended up getting a storage unit together to kind of split the cost. And just having, especially with Christmas, just pallets of flipping chocolate orange stuff, Christmas related gingerbread things, everything else. And he had a very specific, he'd already come up with the brand. He had very specific idea in his head of how he wanted the packaging to look. So he had it all designed and stuff, and then just bought all the chocolate in bulk. So it was a bit of a gamble, because there are quite a few people out there doing similar things. So in this case, we knew we had to try and get it to stand apart from the rest. That's what he tried to do with his packaging, and it's worked out for him. He's done really well, and so he's looking at expanding into different types of boxes and different various things. He's got some really cool things on the cards at the moment, and all sourced within the UK, so he didn't have to even go to Europe or anything like that. Obviously, with chocolates, you do have the risk of stock going out of date. Some of the stuff that he got sent was a lot shorter dated than he'd have liked, so it was a case of, right, got to get this into Amazon, got to get this sold quick. But Christmas was nuts. People underestimate. I hear the term banded around a lot. Yeah, everything sells at Christmas. Like, it literally does. so he just, out of nowhere, despite the fact that he had all this competition, he was selling like 20-30 boxes a day. So it was mad. But so in his case, doing the branding and bundling that he was doing, he was able to just source everything. All the packaging was done in the UK, the design was done in the UK, the printing, everything, all done in the UK. So that was really good. So you can definitely do stuff. There is definitely the option of doing private label within the UK without having to go out to China. But I guess it depends what niche you're into. Yeah. No, never underestimate the nation's hunger for chocolate, especially at Christmas time. I know how much I eat that. It's not surprising. But no, so that does really interest me. I think in future at some point maybe is the sourcing in your own country, because I know that, well, I've read a few articles or listened to podcasts about people doing wholesale in the US, and they source in the US, and if you can put that made in USA sticker on your products, obviously that's huge for Americans, right? They absolutely love the made in America kind of thing. So I'm sure the UK audience, probably customer base, doesn't have quite as much patriotic. No, but
it's still a nice little USP if you want to go down that route.
It's going to be fresher, it's going to taste better presumably. But it's interesting though. So would you say that his USP was that he worked really hard on the branding and the boxes and the quality of the presentation, and not necessarily the flavour of the chocolate wasn't necessarily different to his competitors. It might have come from the same supplier, and as you say, it was actually potentially not as fresh because it was closer to the sell-by date. So it was all about boxing. Yeah,
that was it. He did a really nice job on the presentation. He wanted to have it more of a luxurious kind of higher end. His one main competitor also had a unique look to their boxes, and so he was like, right, that is more. Don't know what the word is. Their box was more kind of, don't want to say cartoony, but he wanted to go a bit more elegant, a bit more professional. Okay. And so it just appeals to different people. And, the contents of his boxes were unique to his competitors. He would look at trying to get he was looking at his competitors and going, right, okay, what chocolates? They're all using Cadbury and they're all using, Galaxy and Nestle. What can I put into mine that's even just a little bit different? So he was trying to go for more luxurious stuff like Lindt and so on and so forth, and try to really add a variety in, because there's a lot of people out there, you can just type in Cadbury box and it'll just be a variety of Cadbury chocolate, which is brilliant, but it's really easy to make, whereas his stuff he had to source from 6 different suppliers, I think, and also Tesco as well for one chocolate bar. He had to go into Tesco every week and just buy them out. It was mad. So it's a combination of that. So I think especially looking at the competition now, he's got a lot of competition, but he's luckily had that Q4, so his products have ranked up quite high. So he's got a lot of organic search rank now. So hopefully next Christmas he's going to do even better.
So he's got the organic reach, and he's kind of marketing to a premium audience. Yeah. So in the UK, for US listeners, they won't know, but in the UK, with he's probably going for the Waitrose, Marks and Spencer, rather than the Aldi, Lidl, and Asda. And I would put Tesco in that as well. But if you've said that one of them's sourced in Tesco, fair enough. But I guess in the US, it's probably, I don't actually know. There's probably so many retailers out there that I don't really know. The Whole Foods is probably an equivalent. Yeah.
And then versus Walmart or Kmart.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever it is.
Target. I don't know if they do food. But so does he price higher because of that?
No, he essentially was trying to match their price. I think going forward, he had to kind of be as competitive as he could with them in terms of price to try and get people to buy the product. But I think going forward, he's got the opportunity of, with it going up the rankings, he can say, oh, well, actually, and he's had all positive feedback. Right. Whereas the other boxes have had a mix of positive and negative. His has just been all positive, and so he's thinking, right, okay, next time I'm going to start pushing the price up a little bit and see kind of the customer base will pay for it, and he's doing a lot on TikTok, Instagram. He's got his own Shopify store to try and sell some stuff direct as well, so he really wants to try and push the brand this year to try and get it more well known. And I think, the fact that he's done as well as he did from basically starting from an unknown brand and being able to almost sell out over Christmas, it just goes to show that with the right branding and the right niche that you're looking at, especially if you're passionate about it, you can sell it
and hopefully charge more. My recommendation for him is to charge more. I think
100%.
The one time I've been to Belgium, I went to Brussels and I missed the Eurostar interconnection, so we ended up just milling around in the Brussels station for about an hour, and I ended up spending £20, which is nearly $30 for people listening in the US, on the tiniest box of chocolates, tiny box of chocolates. But my ex-girlfriend at the time, I absolutely adored them, and they did taste incredible. So it's one of those things where I feel like if you do mark up something like chocolate or wine or those sort of products where people pay for it, and it might not even be better. It might not actually be that much better, but because they've paid more, they feel like it tastes better, right?
Exactly.
And that's how I felt with those Belgian chocolates, hopefully they were better, but it always interests me when you just pay more, you just think, oh yeah, I've made it now, and these are going to be really tasty.
Yeah.
But that's an aside.
He's even getting to the point now to try, and he's still trying to think of how he can tweak it. So he's even getting tissue paper branded, so that he can, inside his box, everything's wrapped up in tissue paper. So he's even getting branded tissue paper just to give it that a little bit extra kind of swankiness, I guess.
Yeah, that reminds me of a book I'm reading at the moment that I've mentioned in another episode of the podcast called Alchemy, and it's about like doing customer research. Say if you put a thank you note out and you ask for a charity donation, it makes a massive difference if you print the thank you note out in just standard A4 card, or if you put maybe some sort of matte finish on it so that it feels nicer in your fingers, right?
Yeah.
And it's things like that, isn't it? It's those little touches that can make a massive difference.
100%.
I'm going to go on a tangent here just because I've noticed, because it's interesting you talked about that he's obviously waiting to get good reviews, and hopefully he's getting, he's improving his branding, improving his image, so that then he can raise his prices and hopefully his profits going forward.
Yeah.
I recently bought an electric toothbrush that's this electric toothbrush here, right?
Right.
Dr. Dent, because I went for a tooth clean and a hygiene thing, and I didn't have an electric one before, so they recommended me an Oral-B, right? And it cost 150 quid. I just thought, I am not spending £150 on an electric toothbrush when I've just been spending £3 a go. So this one was £28, and if you do a review, they send you a free one out, so it's essentially 14 quid.
Oh wow!
It's buy one get one free, but which I think that's against Amazon's policies, isn't it?
Probably,
but they do. They obviously do it all off Amazon. They do it to your personal email, and they make sure that they're not, stuff like that. But either way, just for anyone in the UK, Dr. Dent is a good electric toothbrush. And I don't know why I said that. It's a bit of a tangent, but it just surprised me that they were. How cheap must those be if they're selling them for 27 quid and they're doing buy one get one free essentially if you do a review? And obviously all the reviews are 5 stars. Obviously,
it's when I've looked into manufacturing more, the cost of stuff. When you go into just looking at everyday stuff like Tesco's or Argos, when they're selling stuff at like 60% off and they're still making a profit on it.
Yeah.
It's obscene how much, so that Oral-B, probably the one is selling for 150 quid. If it's the one I think it is, where it's like wireless, Bluetooth enabled.
All of that stuff. It's got an app. It's got an app that helps you know how well you've done it, which I just thought was a load of rubbish.
And, I expect, the development, sure, probably to develop the app and the technology was probably a lot, but it probably only cost them like 20 quid to actually make the toothbrush. Yeah. And then they're selling it for 150.
And then Amazon and Tesco are buying them by the tens of thousands probably. Yeah. But either way, one day maybe we'll get there. We'll build an Oral-B brand. But like, talking of big quantities and stuff, you said earlier about how you found that niche with the baby product, and you thought, it'd be cool to sell a pink one. So further down the line, if you did have more cash flow, would you take that punt? Because it's not necessarily a punt, is it? It's a calculated risk, right? Would you do that now?
Yeah, I think so. Simply because still no one's done it now. I do keep an eye on the product, and no one's got the pink one yet, or any other colour. Actually, I think you can get white now, but it's made me think. The demand for the product is there, because when my items started to sell, I only had 50, and I think I sold out within like a week. And my listing was rubbish. The pictures were rubbish. It was just not nowhere near optimized. And so I think to myself, that could work, but it's just having that cash up front to be able to do it. So I absolutely would. If I do my due diligence and I check things like Jungle Scout and Helium 10 to make sure that the demand is still there, looking at the reviews, make sure that there isn't a better version out there, and then just give it a go, because I know that worst case scenario I'd be able to sell it break even easy. So if I got it in pink and pink just was not a colour that people wanted, and I couldn't sell it for £20 or whatever, I could knock it down to tenner, and I'm sure I could clear it out no problem.
Right.
So it's
and you could at least
got
get
a bit of cash behind me. I'll give it a go.
That's the plan. So is that's the plan for this year then? It's kind of just to keep building the arbitrage business, keep helping your friend out with there, and then see where it goes. Have you got any specific goals or?
Just to be able to consistently bring in enough to pay my bills at the moment. If I can do that, so that I can then quit my job, that's I'm not after like the Lambo lifestyle. I'm not interested in the jet setting off. Obviously having the freedom to travel is cool, but I'm quite happy here at home in my little 2 up 2 down. Not an issue. Nice. I just would be able to be self-sufficient. So at the end of this year, from an arbitrage point of view, I want more replenishables. I've been really struggling to find replenishables, or rather I find replenishables, and then so do everyone else, the same ones, and then they tank it. So I get a good couple of months out of a replenishable, and then boom. And I'm doing some of my own custom bundles, and I'm registering my Yoyo brand later this year as well. So I said later this week. I was going to do it today and forgot. But yeah, so I'm going to, got my first Yoyo design, so I'm going to come out with that. And yeah, just see how it all goes, really.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I like it. So do you sell anything that you one of those arbitragers that will just sell anything that's profitable? Or do you kind of have particular? You obviously don't need to let us know which categories are best.
No. I at first toys for me, because I was able to get ungated in toys first because of the Yoyos. I was just got ungated in toys straight away. Originally, I pretty much sold exclusively toys back in like 2020. Now, though, I'm getting to the point where I've got to register as a limited company and start paying VAT.
Oh, you're a sole trader at the moment, are you?
Yeah, sole trader at the moment. Yeah, so okay. Now at a point where I'm going to have to be VAT registered. So I'm like, oh my god! And looking at past deals that I've bought already, I'm thinking those just aren't profitable, or not nearly as profitable with VAT. So I'm trying to concentrate on grocery and like VAT excluded stuff. So
coffee.
At the moment, yeah,
books.
Oh yeah, true. I'm selling like loads of different grocery stuff at the moment. Just anything that I can find. Trying to found a couple of replenishables which, to source them, you've got to buy from a couple of different locations. So I think I'm going to look more into that, because I think some arbitragers, myself included previously, are a bit lazy. If I can't get it all from one place, I'm not going to bother in case the other place sells out or whatever. But I've found a couple of listings recently where you need to buy from 2 or 3 different stores to be able to put it all together. And so I'm going to look at that, 'cause there's less competition on those. And yeah, just trying to get into wholesale as well, because I'm at a point now where I've got some products which I'm quite happy to buy a pallet full of. And you just can't do that from Tesco. So,
no.
But so grocery at the moment. I don't really touch toys anymore. I did a few toys over last Christmas, but yeah, I'm trying to find products which aren't necessarily seasonal, that just sell all year round regardless. And that way, yeah, I just feel more comfortable doing that, I think. So that if I can get to a point where I've got, say, 30 or 40 ASINs, which I just restock over and over and over, that would be really good. So
yeah. You want that predictable income. It's the same for me. You can buy textbooks in the US book market and the UK book market, and you'll sell like hotcakes in January and August and October in the UK. But for the rest of the year, they might not sell quite as well. So I'm all about buying year-round stock. Yeah. That's the way forward. I also just wanted to mention for the US listeners that we have value-added tax here. So if your business exceeds £85,000, which is what, like $115,000, then you have to pay an extra 20% on every sale in categories that have got VAT. And there's only a few categories that don't have VAT, which I've just mentioned. Books is one of them. I think some baby products, grocery. I remember children's bicycle helmets got no VAT for some reason, because I was researching it quite a lot, because I was also interested in not paying VAT. But there's loads of people, right, loads of Amazon sellers doing really ingenious things to run a business just under the £85,000 threshold, and they're probably only doing 1 or 2 hours a week. They've got maybe a VA working for them, and they're just cozy. So that makes me want to pose the question to you that you said you're not looking for the Lambos. I'm not either, by the way. But like, does that not interest you to maybe, I don't know, like find a VA, run your business just under 85, maybe try and improve your profit margin somehow, and just like keep that cruising. And maybe you could do 2 of those or 3 of those, and then you're actually sitting really pretty, right?
Well, that was something I had considered doing. So with the Yoyo store, for example, the margins are massive compared to Amazon, but obviously the sell-through rate isn't there. with Amazon, my margins are pretty. I know most people aim for like 30% ROI as kind of like a standard, or 25% margin, whatever. But I look at a lot of sellers and think, nah, you can't be doing that, because when I'm looking at the margins, what I'm getting buying from wholesalers to what they're selling for, I think I need to work really hard on getting my margins. If I could be, get my margins sorted and be after tax bringing in sort of like 30 grand a year as a wage, I'd be quite happy with that. But so at the moment, though, because I've got the Yoyo store as well, that's what's pushing me over the VAT threshold.
Right.
So I think if I stop doing the Yoyo store, I could continue going on without paying VAT for a while on Amazon. But it's too much to give the Yoyo store up. So yeah, it might be something. I may become VAT registered for a bit, and then once I find better margins, I might unVAT register myself if I go down to under 85k a year. But
complex,
at the moment,
that,
I'm just
complex with the government. I wouldn't want to do that. Yeah, it's one of those situations where it sounds like you've just got to power through, haven't you? You've got to get your mind past that conceptual loop of 85k, I'm going to lose 20% of my revenue kind of thing. Yeah. And I feel like your brain starts to make it work, because before I hit the 85, I was kind of thinking like that, and I was thinking, this is going to suck when I'm selling. But then I ended up just diverting it by selling books, but that's a different story altogether.
So do you sell I can't remember, do you sell exclusively books now, or do you still do a bit of arbitrage?
No, I stopped doing arbitrage because I got banned in the UK, which is another story. But so on the US market, you can sell any products because you're selling on the US market. There's no VAT anyway. So I could sell other products if I wanted to, but it goes back to what we were saying earlier in the conversation. I've really enjoyed honing the art of selling books, and I'm still enjoying it. And don't get me wrong, I've looked into wholesale and I've rang up suppliers and stuff, and I'm not a salesman, and I'm not a born salesman. I'd say I have periods where I can sell, but I'm not the sort of person who gets up in the morning and could call 100 suppliers and take 95 no's. I've actually done sales jobs before, and I only lasted a few weeks, made a few sales, and the buzz of getting a sale is great, but there's a certain person who loves making the sale and almost thrives off the rejection as well, and they'll just keep going. They'll keep going, and they'll keep getting up, and I can't handle that. So
no, I feel you, man.
And I'm sure that's why there aren't as many wholesale courses as maybe. Well, actually, I'm talking out my arse there. I don't actually know how many wholesale courses there are, but I get the impression from email lists that I get on, there's more private label and there's more arbitrage courses, just because there's a lower barrier to entry, and people just don't like sales, do they?
No, I think that's it. Yeah,
people just hate it. You're cold calling someone who's never spoken to you, and they're going to say, "Don't want another Amazon seller. See you later."
Yeah. Also, I think that's potentially the appeal that a lot of people have with Amazon FBA in general, is the fact that I really do actually like engaging with my customers, and it's a great way to build a brand as well. But with FBA, you don't have to do that. You just send your stock in, and that's it. Amazon just deal with everything else. And so I think that is an appeal for a lot of people, because they're like, actually, I love selling online, but I just don't want to have to interact with humans at all. Yeah. So I think that might be a bit. Yeah. So I totally get it. I totally understand why, private label and arbitrage. I've seen. I think I've only heard of 2 wholesale courses that I know of versus a plethora, infinite supply of private label or arbitrage courses. So yeah, maybe that's why there aren't many wholesale courses, because people just don't like having to do that. You could be right.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe we just haven't searched for them. But I do just get that impression. But that's the thing, that one of the big reasons that Amazon arbitrage appealed for me to begin with was the fact that you can pretty much run it and be a complete hermit. I was just in my bedroom for 2 years, just buying stuff off one site and selling it on Amazon, and I loved it. And then finally thought, I'll be sociable and try and build a Facebook group, because you can't do it all alone, right? Like, I sent a newsletter out this week, which was an African proverb, and it was, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And it's a simple one, but I quite liked it. talking of Facebook groups, you've got one. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about that? Like why you started it? What are your plans for that?
Yeah, sure. Well, I got into tribes with yourself, and originally I started it as kind of an all-encompassing. Started as called the e-commerce journey, and I generally I've got a lot of friends who, once they heard me getting into Amazon, they were really interested, and not just the point of where like they fake interest. They're like, oh yeah, tell me more about that. And they generally wanted to know more. So that was primarily why I thought of starting up the group, just to be able to, as an easier way, rather than just plastering all over my own Facebook page. I thought, well, I said to my mates that if you're on my Facebook list and you want to know a bit more about what I do, here I've made this separate group to just keep my page clean. And then I didn't really start looking for people for the group. I didn't really advertise it or anything. I just kept it quite low key, because I thought until I get to a point where I feel I've got some value to add, other than to my friends who were just completely sort of level zero newbies, if you like. But I started getting people just kind of organically join, and my group's still really small, but it's starting to grow now. And yeah, I'm just literally. I then went and started doing just exclusively Amazon, but I still get people asking me a lot about the Yoyos side of things, and the fact that I'm hopefully going to be doing this dropshipping thing soon as well. So I've just gone back to now talking about. It's still mostly Amazon, but I want to talk about everything, because I said that, well, yourself, if you know the experience of getting suspended, on Amazon, that could be flipping scary if that's your sole form of income. So for me, being able to have, Amazon sure is like the at the moment seems to be like the biggest opportunity, but being able to also have my own Shopify store and then eBay, and then maybe do a bit of drop shipping and so on and so forth. That way, if any one of those streams stops for any reason, I'm, not going to be, out on the street,
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I want to kind of impress upon people, is just especially at the current climate in the economy and inflation and just everything just getting more expensive. I think everybody has got the potential to, assuming that they've got a little bit of free time, anyone could set up their own business. I generally believe that regardless of what it is you want to do, if you can find either a product or a service to sell, that anyone could do it. And I just keep saying to my friends, like, really recommend you do something, just even if it only brings in an extra £100 a month, that's an extra £100 a month that you didn't have before. So that's what I'm hoping to achieve with my group, is just get more people into, having their own little businesses. I think that's pretty cool.
No, that's a really great message, I think. And as you say, if you can get a load of people to help them start a side hustle, some people will be perfectly happy just keeping it as a side hustle, pays for their holiday or 2 holidays a year.
Yeah.
But some of them, it might spark an interest, and they'll end up building, a multi-million pound business. So you don't know. And I think just helping people out, it's the way forward. And also the fact that you can pull experiences from lots of different things that you've done means that you're not going to have a shortage of content, right? And that's kind of cool. Yeah. And the e-commerce journey is a wide ranging source of one, but no, that's really cool. Yeah, I just think the Facebook group thing's great. It's an awesome place for people to hang out, and
yeah, it's brilliant. I love the whole community. I mean, there's lots of us all in different groups, but I've gotten to know so many people through so many of the different groups that we all have in common, and it's just a really nice bunch of people. Like, I honestly thought, I was a bit worried at first. I thought, everyone's going to be really secretive and not want to help each other, and but everyone's just really nice and really helpful. And I've met some great people. I've got one friend who I share sourcing stuff with. I've also got my other friend who I help do his business, and I'm just learning loads, and it's great. It's a really good community.
Yeah, it's so nice. That's the way I look at it. It's like I don't expect anything from it. I just like the fact that you can just talk to like-minded people. Like you saying you tell your friends to get into it. I've told a lot of my friends that it's not that, like, I can help you. It's not necessarily that difficult to get started. It will take a lot of work, but I can show you the ropes, and no one's taken me up on it. So I've had to go online to find those like-minded people, and it's nice that we've got that. But
absolutely.
So we're coming up to an hour, so I want to be respectful of your time. But talking about Facebook groups and like adding value for people, I was wondering if you could provide maybe what advice would you have wanted when you first started out, other than not buying that course? Although potentially buying that course was a learning curve, right?
It was. I think definitely, if you pick something, just focus on it. Try not to diversify too much in terms of various platforms and things, because like Amazon itself, I honestly thought originally it sounded so easy, and in a way it is easy to get started, but it takes a lot of work. And I think I'd certainly recommend anyone do Amazon, just because, like we've said, it's a low barrier of entry. You can start with as little as you like. You can start with stuff that you've got at home, and I just recommend anybody having their own business a go. If it's something that you've thought about doing, now is like a perfect time to give it a go. And I don't think there's ever going to be a situation, I could be wrong, but at the moment it doesn't seem like there's ever going to be a situation where there's too much competition, because for every 100 people who start, you probably then get another 90 who give up after the first couple of months, because they realize, actually I can't just sit here and make money for free. So if you've got a little bit of drive and a little bit of interest, I'd just give it a go. And try not to, if you are on Amazon, try and diversify amongst the products that you're buying. I think like the going low and wide, buying sort of 3 to 5 of an item at each time, rather than just going, that looks good, I'm going to buy 20 of those, because chances are half the products you buy, the price is going to tank anyway. So so just go low and wide, and just, if you've got a couple of £100 to spare, buy some toys, buy some grocery stuff, and just see how you do, and you'd probably find it's a good little learner.
Yeah, and that's great advice. And you're going to learn as you go, right? And as you say, like wide, not deep. You don't have to invest too much money into this to learn the model, as long as you're reading the data correctly. And I think that's fantastic advice, and that's a perfect way to bring this conversation to a close. So, thank you again very much for coming on. It's been great chatting.
Thanks for having me on. It's been brilliant.
It's awesome. So, if people want to find you, we've talked about the Facebook group. If you want to plug that again, and if you've got a YouTube channel, as you said, Instagram, TikTok, feel free to plug away. It's
just facebook.com/the e-commerce journey. You can find me on there. It'll also, YouTube will be the same once the channel goes live. And just come along and have a chat.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Luke. Speak to you soon.
All right, man. Yeah, take it easy, dude. Have a good one.
Ciao.
Cheerio.
Thank you so much for tuning into the show. If you've made it this far, you may as well leave this video a like. If you've been watching on YouTube, please subscribe and hit the bell icon for future episode updates. Or if you've been listening on Apple Podcasts, it would be absolutely amazing if you could leave us a review, as that makes a world of difference. Thank you again, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao for now.